you do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The Jim Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Jim Dog Show. Joining me today is a very special guest that needs very little introduction. She's a 9-time All-American here at Georgia and a member of the most decorated class that we've ever had here at Georgia, Katie Heenan. Katie's one of our senior leaders. And Katie, before we get into what happened this week at Michigan, which, by the way, did not go as well as we would have liked it to, and we'll get to that later, but I want to give you guys a chance to get to know Katie just a little bit. And Katie, just talk to us about your 4 years here at Georgia as an athlete, as a student, the whole experience that you've had here at Georgia. How's that been for you?
Thanks, Jay. These 4 years have been the best of my life, and I couldn't have asked for anything more. Coming in, I love the campus, I love the girls, and it's turned out to be so wonderful. We have such an excellent support staff, academics, sports, health, everything. They take care of us so well, and it makes it so easy to come here and be able to perform well on the arena floor and also in the classroom.
Katie, you know, back when you were being recruited by Georgia, you were one of the top recruits in the nation, and everybody was after you pretty heavily, and particularly some schools on the West Coast, and we won't get specific about which schools those were, but you know, Katie was leaning very heavily towards going to some of those other schools and visited our campus. And if you could just kind of talk about what was it about Georgia that sort of drew you here?
Well, first of all, the West Coast is far, and I'm a big home person, and Georgia seemed a little bit closer and on the East Coast, but I just automatically fell in love with the campus. Southern atmosphere, and then the athletes and the coaches, it was like a big family, and I couldn't have asked for anything more.
And Katie, you've been here, and as I mentioned, you're part of the most decorated class we've ever had. You guys don't know anything but winning national championships, and prior to you guys getting here, there was a little bit of a drought. You know, we had been through a 5 or 6 year period where we had not won a national championship. Just for you personally, what's the most memorable thing about the 3 championships that we've won so far? If there's a favorite championship, or if there's a particular moment that you remember that sort of stands out in your mind?
I remember when we first got here that we were told that there's not 4 championships, there's 8, because the SEC championship is just as big as any national championship, and it didn't quite grab a hold of that until after my freshman year. And my fondest memory so far is SEC's in 2005. That was just amazing. It was in Duluth. We won, and it had been a while, you know. And then for championship-wise, every year has been so different. We've gone from 12th to 1st. 2006 was smooth sailing. We were undefeated all the way through. Last year we had a few bumps in the road, but we got it together at the end when it was time. And this year has been an interesting season as well, now with Courtney Kupets out of the lineup, having to pull a few other people into the lineup. But I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to pull it together again. And I couldn't have asked for a better school to come to, because when you say 8 championships, you're serious about 8 championships, and now we're leaving hopefully with 4.
Well, this team certainly is no stranger to adversity, and as Katie alluded to, we've had other years where we've had to face that adversity, and this year's no different. Without Courtney, we're headed into a championship meet, but as we state, and a lot of times, everyone here was recruited because they are the caliber athlete to win a national championship. So when we come back, we'll take a look at the highlights from our Michigan meet this past weekend in Ann Arbor.
The Jim Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal health care organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty, you. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Jim Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country. And brought to you by Alpha Factor. Alpha Factor, the official gymnastics apparel worn by the Georgia Jim Dogs.
Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes. And the question is, will we see Georgia's championship lineup in the next 2 home meets? And the answer is, while I'm not committing to anything, I do believe we will see the championship lineup that we can expect to see throughout the championship portion of our season. And that's Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes. Welcome back. Well, as we head to Michigan, we're headed, as we normally do, to the uneven bars. And Katie, that has been a great event for us this year. It's a great place for us to start. We've shown a lot of consistency there, a lot of depth, because we've competed a lot of people on that event. We were a little disappointed in this meet because some of the routines that we've seen typically score a little bit higher. You know, it's hard to, as you mentioned to me at the end of the meet, it's hard to get that kind of momentum generated when you feel like you're doing very good routines and they're not always being rewarded in the score, and that can become a distraction. Right.
It really is hard as a team itself to, especially when you land and you're so excited and then the score flashes and we're told not to concentrate on the scores, but when it is a really good routine, it's hard not to kind of be down about it and wonder what's going on, and that does hurt the confidence and the momentum of the meet. And we do tell them not to concentrate on the scores, but even as coaches sometimes it's hard not to notice when things appear to be out of sorts just a little bit. So we head to the uneven bars to get started for the meet. Let's take a look at the rotations for the first two events at Michigan. So we're here in the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan, getting ready to start on bars against the number 4 ranked team in the nation. This is going to be a great meet. There's a lot of anticipation for this meet, particularly for the Michigan fans, as they held it in Chrysler Arena. You see Courtney McCool here, did a Tkachev there, her first major release, giant full, bailed a handstand. All of her handstands were pretty good in this meet. She adjusts her grip there a little bit up. That's something we don't want her to do. Actually, that handstand was a little bit short. Double A full twist. She just hops there on the landing and goes 9.85, but a good start for us early in the lineup. For Michigan, Sarah Curtis on vault. Yurchenko full. Slight hop on the landing, feet apart a little bit, but decent vault.
9.95 on that vault. Tiffany Tolnay back over on bars for Georgia. Beautiful handstand work from Tiffany. Jaeger, big as always. Their second major release. Overshoot to handstand. Tiffany executed this routine exceptionally well. This is the second time this year that she's gone 9.9 or better, and this routine does go 9.9. That's a giant full right on top of the bar, which is exactly where you want it. And just moves that right foot there on the landing, but goes 9.9, and a great routine for us, so we're really rolling.
Kylie Botterman on vault. Yurchenko full. Oh, big step on the landing, but good vault, 9.9.
No real control there on that landing, and still goes 9.9. Pretty solid vault, had good amplitude, but just you got to control your landings better in my book to get those 9.9s. Katie Heenan back on bars for us, and Katie's sitting here watching this with me right now, so she'll get to critique herself just a little bit. Feel free to jump in anytime. Toe-on blind was good, and we've been working very hard, Katie, on getting that on top of the bar, and you've been doing a much better job doing that.
Yeah, felt really good in the meet.
This is her toe-on and off the handstand there. Back up to the high bar. That's a C release right there, that uphill from the low bar to high bar. She's getting ready for the dismount. Let's see if she's got the legs together on the dismount. Nah, she pulls them apart and takes a step there. So, Katie, what happened on that dismount?
I actually slipped a little bit. It was kind of happening in warm-ups, but I was trying to ignore it as much as possible, hoping that it was just a one-time deal, but happened again in the meet.
49.35 after one rotation. Michigan blows it up on vault with a 49.475. We're hopeful the scores will stay the same. Hillary Morrow up for us on vault. First time she's been in competition. You can see she slips a little bit there on the table, but a pretty good Yurchenko full. She gets lots of distance there. You watch it again in slow motion. A little bit of a slip there on the table. Needs to get her shoulders open a little more, but not a bad vault at all for Hillary, and she goes 9.8.
Next on bars for Michigan, Trish Wilson. She does toe-on shapash to the high bar. Shoot over to handstand. Looked a little bit short. I'm not sure about that handstand. Ginger. Big cast handstand. Looks like she's going into the dismount. Double layout. Actually a pretty good routine. A nice dismount.
9.925 on that routine. Cassidy McComb, this is the best vault she's done all year, folks, right here. Beautiful Yurchenko 1.5. Does have the hop on the landing, but it was the most difficult vault performed in the meet, and it goes 9.9. We saw similar hops or out-of-control landings that were more pronounced in the first rotation.
You actually couldn't see that hop from behind. It looked like she stuck.
Looked like she stuck it from where we were.
Marcia Newby now on vault. Yurchenko, layout half, front layout. Small step, but high vault, 9.825.
It's a great vault. You'll see Marcia get pretty good repulsion here off the table. She's been a little flat for several weeks, but we get a little bit of rise there. Not a bad landing, but does take that step. Shows control 9.825. Felt like that one got hit a little bit hard. This is Becky Bernard over on bars for Michigan. Becky's from Flights Gymnastics in Ohio. There's a hop full there. A giant double full to giant half. I believe that probably was supposed to have been a giant 1.5 that she covered very well. No deduction really for that other than any of the segmentation that you may have seen in the body. She's getting ready for her dismount, which is also a double layout. Takes a step there on the landing and goes 9.85.
This is me on vault. Yurchenko full. Stuck the landing. Goes 9.9.
Yeah, and I didn't understand this one, Katie. You'll see this in slow motion. I thought this was probably the best landed and best amplitude vault. It was the best vault in the entire meet, and yet it went 9.9 when some of the others had gone 9.95. So not a huge difference, and you don't want to make too much of a stink about these kinds of things, but you would like to see things very consistent in terms of what the expectation is. So after 2 rotations, we're down 0.275, 98.8 to 98.525.
Hey, my name's Molly. Tiffany, what's your best score?
Thanks for your question, Molly. My highest score ever was a 10.0, and it was on the floor exercise, and it was at the Kurt Thomas Invitational in Frisco, Texas, and it's about 5 years ago.
We're Flo and Martin Perry, and we love the Gym Dogs. We love the team spirit, the camaraderie, and it's a wonderful thing to share with our grandchildren.
Welcome back. Well, as you can see, after 2 rotations, we're down by just under 0.3 of a point, Katie, but we're headed to an event floor that has been a great event for us all year long, really. We're competing without yourself and without Tiffany Tolnay in that lineup, but again, we've got a strong enough group on floor that we fully expect to be able to do well there. As you'll see, though, in the highlights, we do make some mistakes. And Katie, talk to us about just the overall tension. Was there any kind of reason that you could foresee anything like that happening on floor?
Like you said, Jay, we've had enough people all year practicing 9 or 10 on floor, so we were able to fill in the gaps of Tiffany, me, and Courtney. And everybody was ready to go, and that's usually an event where we can pick up the pace, get the momentum going. And we just had some unusual mistakes out of bounds and some passes that just weren't right on. And I think that I'm not really sure why. The floor felt great and everything, but maybe just the whole kind of atmosphere of the meet maybe got to everybody. But we were ready to go when it came to beam.
Well, it almost felt to me like there was we were pressing a little bit, like some of the people were just trying a little too hard to be perfect, and we've learned over and over again that we're good enough. Just be yourselves, be yourselves, and it's plenty enough to win. So now let's take a look at the floor highlights, and what you'll see is a few mistakes, as we've already talked about, and then before we headed to beam, the team seemed to settle down a little bit and really finish the meet with probably one of their top 3 performances on the balance beam all year long. So we're headed to floor. The Michigan crowd's into it, and so is the Georgia team, doing the YMCA there on the side of the floor. There's our senior leadership right there, Megan and Katie. And Nikki gets us started.
Child's on floor, front handspring, 1.5, punch back layout. It was beautiful and right down the center of the corner. Crowd really gets into this floor team. Next pass, round off, whip half, front layout. Good execution, just not a very high difficult pass. Last pass, round off whip, punch double full. Another great pass. Her legs were together and she was straight down the corner.
And the freshman, Cassidy McComb, you see there, big double pike. She's trying to control that landing. She was too fast trying to get her chest up on the landing and ends up losing control, steps out of bounds, which is going to cost us a 10th. And this is where things start to go awry for us just a little bit. The distractions seem to get to us, and we're trying to be a little better than we should have done. Beautiful 2.5 punch front, though, there by Cassidy.
Next on beam for Michigan is Lindsey Bruck. This is Michigan's anchor on beam. Switch leap, back handspring, quarter, half. Back handspring layout. Good execution. Back handspring full, swing down.
Yeah, and she sort of looked a little off balance there.
Front handspring to her knees.
Michigan does some unique skills throughout their routine. You see a lot of pirouetting on their hands. That's the second routine where we've seen quite a bit of that.
She just completed a straddle, and a dismount. It's a front gainer full, which is very unique. She scored a 9.9 and is the third Wolverine to score a 9.9 or higher on the event.
Courtney McCool back on floor for us. 2.5 punch front full, incredibly difficult. We talk about it all the time. It's just that you never gets old watching that particular pass the way Courtney does it. You don't see very many people do it, and there's a reason for that, because it's very hard to do cleanly. And then Courtney continues to show why she is ranked very, very high in the floor rankings nationally. Whip immediate double full. But even she is human, and right here you see her do a front double full where she flies forward out of bounds. And again, we're giving away tenths on the floor exercise, something that hasn't really haunted us this year the way it did at some point last year. So after 3 rotations, we go 49-1 on that event, and that's not going to get it done, folks. With UMichigan's able to stretch their lead out just a little bit. They have a 148.15 to a 147.625. So we're going to beam, and we got to get settled down. The important thing is to, at this point, get a good road score. Make sure you finish the meet strong.
Grace Taylor now on beam. Grace has been working hard all year and just very solid on this event. One arm back handspring, back layout, no wobbles, no deductions. Switch leap, straddle jump, beautiful. Her flexibility is amazing, which you'll see right here. Full turn with the leg up, gainer back layout. Again, no wobbles. Front aerial.
Grace is really starting to get consistent again on this event the way she was last year. I think she's finally settling down.
Back handspring, double full. Slight hop on the landing, but a great routine for Grace. She goes 9.9.
You see she was a little offline there, but otherwise just an incredibly good routine and goes 9.9. This is Lindsey Bruck over on floor, opens with a double pike. Comes back in the middle pass with just a Rudy in the middle. That is a D pass. And then she finishes with a whip half front full, another C-level pass. So the difficulty is really not much more than what Georgia showed early in our lineup, and she goes 9.875.
This is me on the beam. It's kind of funny commenting on my own routine.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, okay. Back handspring layout, unfortunately, wobble there. I was a little off from the beginning.
Could have kicked that leg all the way up and done a scale, maybe.
Yeah. Straddle jump, sheep jump.
That's very difficult, folks. If a sheep jump doesn't sound very hard just by its name, but it's blind. With the sheep jump, both feet come up and the head has to release backwards, so you're blind on the landing.
Punch front, wolf jump.
Very well done.
It's one of my best ones this year. Full turn, getting ready to dismount.
And this is where Katie usually shines, is right here on this dismount. She's one of the best landers we have in the gym.
Round off double full.
Boned it. Very nice routine, Katie. I'll give you a good grade on that one. So Courtney McCool finishes up for us on the balance beam. Her signature mount there, as we always see. Front aerial. This is a solid routine here too. It's nice to have Katie and Courtney in the back end of the lineup here to really be the anchors of the entire lineup. They both do that sheep jump. You see Courtney has the balance check. She corrects it very quickly. Beautiful side summy. That's the skill that had given her trouble earlier this season that she has really gotten more consistent on. Excellent switch side. You see the amplitude and the 180-degree split. And then a round off double full that she also sticks. And Courtney goes 9.9 to give us a total of 49.325 on the balance beam, and a great way to bounce back from a less than stellar floor performance. So we go 196.95, and Michigan has the meat of their life and goes 197.6. Routine of the week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center. And this week's routine is Grace Taylor on the balance beam. A stellar performance out of the sophomore. That's Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center. Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs. And as you can see, there's virtually no movement in the top 12. And once again, 6 of the 7 SEC teams are currently ranked in the top 12. That's Countdown to the NC2As, brought to you by Melwood Springs. Well, there you have it. A solid meet, not a stellar meet against a very good Michigan team. Katie, the team really settled down and had a great beam performance that we just saw, and we're headed home now for our final 2 meets of the season, the first one being against UCLA. Talk a little bit about that.
We're just excited to be home for the next couple weekends, and also to kind of get more of a set lineup going into postseason and kind of rally together and get to where we need to be.
And I think that beam lineup that you just saw is probably going to be the lineup that we see the rest of the way. There may be a change here or there if something were to happen, but in all likelihood, that's our championship lineup, and we're getting close to having that pretty much squared away, and hopefully we'll be able to get some consistency in those lineups as we move into the latter part of the season and into postseason. I want to thank Katie Heenan for being our guest. Katie's been the heart and soul of what we've been doing here for quite some time, and it's a joy to have her on camera here with me today. And we'll see you next week. Suzanne will be back next week for the highlights of UCLA versus Georgia here in Athens.
The Jim Dog Show has been brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal health care organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty, you. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Jim Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country. And brought to you by Alpha Factor. Alpha Factor, the official gymnastics apparel worn by the Georgia Jim Dogs.